Our next speaker, Simon Pfister, has a goal of planting 1 billion trees by the year 2025, and to do so in Ethiopia. Now, I think 1 billion is pretty bold, and these are the kinds of speakers we have tonight that are walking the walk, and he was going to walk the earth, Ethiopia, and find people to support him in his goal of 1 billion trees. He's an instructor and MBA or PhD? PhD at St. Gallen University. From St. Gallen to Ethiopia, walk the earth, Simon Pfister.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Well, 1 billion trees. It's a big number. It's a big vision. And I know it's for a big and a very important impact that we are going to have, that we are going to reach in rural Ethiopia. Now, why am I going to talk about trees to you tonight? Why are trees a matter of importance that, take up 18 minutes of your time? I believe trees can fill their plates. With trees surrounding these fields, you can increase production, you can increase harvest. Trees can allow this couple to grow vegetables after the crop, after the rain-fed crop. They can start for the first time in their life. They can plant vegetables. They can have more food, they can have better food, more nutrition, stronger, healthier. Trees allow biodiversity. Without bees, for instance, or insects in general, no apple would grow. If you don't have biodiversity, if you don't have trees and grass, you don't have any insects, you don't have apples. And trees will put her back to school. Today, in the dry season, she walks for miles to get water, to fetch water for herself and her family. If we have trees that increase the water table, she will go to school instead of walking for water. And Ethiopia is actually a great place for trees. 50 years ago, it used to be very much covered by trees. But unfortunately, today, there is significant deforestation, and it's for the right reasons, for the people. They want to survive. They want to offer their children better opportunities. So, my foundation, Foundation Green Ethiopia, has worked since 12 years in afforestation, in planting trees. And I would like to take you through one of our projects. This is Gango Hill. It's in central Ethiopia. The hill that you see in the back used to be bare 3 years ago. Today, there is a little forest start to grow. And already, we see that the river has water throughout the year. Before 3 years, it dried out. There was no water at this point in time. And as you can see, today, especially the women who are responsible for the water, they get the water 300 meters from the village instead of miles away. But there is even more to this project. This is the vegetable production that they started. With the water, they started a small gravity irrigation, and here they grow different vegetables after the crop. They can plant fruit trees. For the first time in their life, there is fruit tree. Again, fruit tree for vitamins, healthy people, stronger people. Bees. This is a modern beehive, so they can invest in modern beehives. And every farmer in Ethiopia knows that no trees, no bees, no honey, and no honey, no money. And there is actually enough for everybody. They have excess production, which they sell on the market, and this is how they sell it. So here, the women, they start to get income, and with that income, they can start to become entrepreneurs and change their lives. To give you some more background, why trees are important in the case of Ethiopia, I would like to take you to a little journey to Eastern Africa. This is where Ethiopia is located. It's big in size, it's big in population, and by almost any means, it's poor. It's just a poor country. One figure that is not on here, 10% of the children, they die before they reach the age of 1 year. And 80% die before they reach the age of 5 years. So that's what poverty means if you are a newborn in Ethiopia. But there are great landscapes. Ethiopia is extremely rich in culture, and they do have quite a lot of rain. That might sound a little special, but the point is, if you look at the left side graph, all the rain falls in basically 3 months. And the other 9 months, it's dry. The red line, the red bars, that's Zurich. The blue ones are Bahir Dar. If you look at the right side, that's the temperature. So in Bahir Dar, the temperature is around 20 degrees all year round. So you could, if you have enough water, you can produce vegetables or fruit trees throughout the years. Now, what's the problem with those monthly rainfalls? This is a picture of northern Ethiopia. As you can see, it's bare. Mountains are bare, hills are bare, no forest, no water storage capacity, no water harvesting. So all the water, it runs down in the rain season. There is huge flooding. Down there you see a river that is dried out because there is no water storage capacity. On the trees that you see along the range indicate that there are farmers living there. So if I relate back to the housing, if there is rain and there is flooding, those houses are extremely exposed to the flood. And what you see on the very left-hand side, you see these little fields. So the farmers, they use a lot of technologies like terracing and things like that to actually get as much land as possible to still live off their homeland and not having to walk away. So I was talking about rain is running off, water is running off in the rain season. So where do they get the water from in the dry season? That's one option. They walk long distances to a river or to a pond, or sometimes they dig deep wells. The problem here is they have to dig deeper every year because the water table is decreasing. And that's also one of the effects. Again, as every farmer knows, the last 2 weeks of the growth, the condition, the external condition is very important for the total production or the total yield. I think everybody knows for wine, for grapes, it should be dry and hot. Well, for the corn, it should be a little moisture in the ground. And with trees, you can increase the moisture in that ground. And instead of brown waste, you would have nice corn for food for the people as well as for the cattle. Now, back to one of our projects. How can you change those bare hills? How can you do that? It's basically a 4-step approach. This is a community called Hidi. It's a crater lake, and before we planted the hill on the right-hand side, it was brown water, siltation. A lot of people drinking from that water were not healthy at all. Also cattle was pretty severe. And after 2 years, we can increase the water table of the sea, of the lake, by 2 meters, and health of people and cattle is very much increased. What have we done? First step, we establish a nursery. We find women, mostly women, who are willing to work here to care the seedlings. At the same time, we motivate the community that lives in that area for preparation, plantation preparation. So they are constructing terraces, trenches, ponds, planting holes, and at the beginning of the rain season, they start bringing those seedlings from the nursery to the hills. And in Ethiopia, everything is done by foot or and by hand. And after plantation, very important, you have to establish bylaws with the communities and guarding to protect the area from cattle interfering and eating the new trees. And here again, you can see how fast the grass develops. This is a family that is responsible for guarding at the place called Bete Johannes. Now, I mentioned that we have done such projects since 12 years. And recently, we met Trestle Group Foundation, and we have this vision to take this knowledge that we have established over those 12 years to a new level. So, the idea is that on the left-hand side, we bring the know-how of how to change the landscapes in Ethiopia, combine it with the knowledge from Trestle Group on the right-hand side, which is mainly women empowerment. How can you make such a model self-sustainable? How can you ensure that people are motivated to plant more trees every year? How additional communities jump onto this idea all by themselves without our support. And this is basically the model. We take it community by community. Down on the left-hand side, this is Sevle. She's one of the project leaders, and she's responsible for 3 communities. In this case, it's 3 communities. She goes out to the farmers. She talks to them how great trees can be, and she convinces them how much worth it is to invest in indigenous trees. And then she supports them with establishing the nursery, with the plantation, and she also engages in the follow-up activities that are possible, such as honey production that's normally quite fast, and later we have vegetables if the water is increased. And then we scale it up over time to a bigger number of communities, and then we also try to engage the friends of Sebele. In this case, it's 4 women, so we can roll it out to additional communities. We believe that by 2025, we can reach this 1 billion trees, and we will impact around 800,000 women that can see opportunities, empowerment through the subsequent changes from trees and from increased water. So the impact that we're aiming for is truly for her. We try to make sure that when she leaves school, she has an area, she comes out into an area with great natural resources where hunger is a thing of the past, where she has enough water. It's still a hard life, don't get me wrong, but you can live off that land, and she's actually already planting her own papaya tree. This is a papaya tree, maybe 1 year old, 1.5 year old. And that's actually her investment. And when she comes out of school, this will be her first income that she can live off. This plate I found in northern Ethiopia. This tells me that the students, they are ready. That's from a school compound. The students, they know what it means to have trees. They know what natural resources means to them. What I think we need is our awareness to make sure that we can help them to pursue those opportunities that come out of changed natural resources. Well, that's all from my side. I hope that the next time that you see a tree, you don't only see leaves and wood and branches, but you actually see a tree of hope that is growing, that allows women to change their lives, and rural farmers in Ethiopia, as well as in other places on earth, to live off their land and live a life in dignity. Thank you very much.
Great job. Thank you.